There is an interesting social media post that's making its rounds on the internet and sparking a lot of controversy amongst cruise ship passengers. The subject of this controversy revolves around stateroom stewards or room attendants, whatever it is you'd like to call them, and what their initial and actual job and duties entail while you are enjoying your vacation of a lifetime. Depending on the cruise line you are sailing with, once or twice per cruise, the room steward will come into your room and do things like make your bed, they'll clean the entire room, check out the trash, and give you additional toilet paper if you happen to be running low, basically making your stateroom bright and shiny and new again. The problem here is that there appears to be a group of people that seem to take advantage of this opportunity, that special touch that the cruise line has given you, basically relieving you of a responsibility that you normally have to take care of at home. It's almost as if some passengers intentionally try to make their room look like a pig pen, be as messy as possible, or they are taking their at-home training on board the cruise ship and they see literally nothing wrong with it. So this is the photo that is causing the stir at the moment. As you can see, it is objectively a very messy room that this room steward unfortunately had to deal with. And along with this photo, the person that originally made the post was saying things like, this is very disrespectful to the room steward, it's selfish, and the room steward is not paid enough to have to deal with that. Not to mention that it is important to note that your room when you are staying on board a cruise ship is not the only room that your room steward has to deal with. They can have upwards of anywhere between 10 to 20 rooms per day that they have to deal with. And again, on some lines, they have to clean that room twice per day. So imagine dealing with that twice per day. The conversations revolving around this photo were pretty interesting. As you can imagine, the majority of people had a level head and understood this room is messy and that the people that made the room this messy should be a little bit more responsible whether they are on vacation or not. Meanwhile, you have other people that are saying that, well, I'm on vacation, I should vacation how I want. I do agree to a lot of that. However, on this subject, I do not. If you are affecting other people in any way, I do believe that you should be a little bit more responsible and actually act like an adult and have some sense of cleanliness, even if you aren't that type of person, even when you are at home. The argument is that the room steward is paid to clean your room regardless of how filthy it is. However, the worst comments that I was seeing was, it wasn't a lot. There were a few people that were saying that they even turn off the auto gratuity. They turn off the tips because they believe that the price that they paid for their cruise is suffice. It's enough to take care of the room steward. It's enough to pay for your cruise. And since they've paid for their cruise, they do not need to tip. And they believe all of that service that they are getting, including their filthy room being cleaned, is justified by that original base price that they paid for their cruise. Now, to be fair, obviously you do not have to upkeep your stateroom as if you were in your own home, regardless if you were staying in there for 3 days, a week, a month, it doesn't matter. Personally, I have no shame in saying that when I'm staying in a hotel or on board a cruise ship, that is the one rare occasion that I don't make my bed. If there is a drink from the night prior that is on the table, fine. If there is a towel that is on the floor, given that it's in the bathroom, signifying that you want it to be replaced, that is obviously okay. However, when I worked on board cruise ships, and even up until this point, I do make friends with a lot of room stewards, and these are the type of questions that I ask them, like, what annoys you the most? What's the craziest thing you've seen, if they're willing to answer? And there are some pretty nasty, disgusting people out there. Alongside the fact that people literally just leave their used underwear just laying around the floor, and they expect the room steward to pick it up and clean it up, to me is wrong. There was a cool group of guys that I met on board a cruise last year, and they invited me to their room. We were kind of pre-gaming before we went out for the night, and let me just tell you, I went there once and I got out of there as quickly as I could and I never went back. When I tell you that they literally had bed wrestling items, if you know what I'm talking about, used bed wrestling items on the floor, and there were a couple of them that they didn't bother to pick up, they weren't even worried about, they didn't do any type of upkeep, even them knowing that they had guests that were coming inside of their room that were not part of the original clan. My point here is that whenever you are on board a cruise, yes, by all means enjoy. If you want to kind of be a little lazy in some aspects, sure. But if you are going to be in your stateroom and you know that there is somebody else, another human that is responsible for cleaning it up, you could at least do the bare minimum. If there are a bunch of towels laying around in your room, put them all in one space. Same with the drink. Don't just leave your pizza crust laying around the room. If you have underwear, put it away. Put it in the closet, wherever it is you need to put it in, or a laundry basket so that you can get it cleaned up before the end of your cruise if that's something that you need to do. Anyway, I know this is a relatively short video, but I just wanted to kind of put this topic out there because One, I am legitimately curious. Guys, let me know in the comment section. Do you believe that this photo that you saw is okay? Are you allowed to just pig out when you're on board a cruise? I'm not talking about the food. By all means, eat as much as you want. Gain 5 pounds, 10 pounds, it doesn't matter. But when you make a room that is this messy, I don't even know how people do this in literally one day's time. Do you find this to be okay? Also, number 2, this is not intended to shame anybody. I know there are people out there that are cruising 3 and 4 to a room, people that are cruising with kids, and yes, there are some ships out there where there is not enough storage space to hide everything. And when you have kids, especially when you have like toddlers or kids that are playing with toys or anything of that nature, it is somewhat understandable that some of the rooms are going to be a little messy. However, I do believe that there should be some type of cleanliness and organized system to keep the room at least a little uptight and not have to give the bulk of the work to the room steward. To me personally, that is just wrong, but that is my take on the situation. Let me know your thoughts once again in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And know, as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Take it easy.